Okay, today I'm going to show you how to plant wheat the natural way. So here we have a lot of wheat kernels, and I soak them in water for 2 days. You can soak it for 1 day or 3 days. It doesn't really matter. Soaking the wheat kernel into water will speed up the germination process, that's all. It's a game of who is faster. Alright, so if you are faster, you can grow faster and you dominate. And here I have a bucket of chicken poop mixed with water, and you may not know about how nitrogen tolerant the wheat kernel can be. Right? I don't use wheat grains, instead I use wheat kernels, and the reason is because wheat grains normally will be eaten by rats or birds and so on and so forth, but wheat kernels, well, it's got a protection layer outside, so no one knows about this except for myself. Even voles normally do not eat it. If you just dump it onto the ground, it will germinate. But then I'm doing no-till, but then I'll try to dig a hole for each of the kernels, or you can dig a line. Okay, so for example, you can dig a line like this. Okay, and the reason for digging the line is to protect the wheat grains from being eaten. I have a lot of dandelions germinating here, so I remove the dandelions by hand. It doesn't really matter because dandelions will not be able to dominate wheat, and wheat would eventually dominate dandelions, especially when the wheat is growing tall. The wheat kernel will become wheat grass, and then wheat grass will grow tall to shade out the dandelions. So eventually dandelions will not be able to dominate. It's a matter of competition for light. So I dig a trench like this, or you can just dig a hole for each kernel. Okay. This is no till, but I still dig. Okay. I don't till the entire ground. I just dig a line, and I bury wheat kernels like this. Alright, so they are all in straight lines, so I have several lines. And let me tell you about this piece of land here. If you watched some of my previous episodes, you recognize this particular area being an area for tomatoes. So this is the end of the season, and in the next few days I'll only have rain and no sun, so eventually nothing can ripe, so I cut them off. Right? And eventually, after planting the wheat kernels, I'll pull some poop water, chicken poop water, like this. As I've said, wheat is very, very nitrogen tolerant. They can tolerate fresh chicken poop. And one of the reasons I'm using chicken poop is because it will serve to avoid other animals, especially voles, from eating my wheat kernels. They don't even want to dig. Okay, so not just I don't do this to just avoid the voles eating my kernels, but also avoid them from digging up my kernels. They are curious animals. They understand whenever there is some digging, there must be something underground, so they try to dig it up. I don't want them to do that. So I cover everything up using the mud that I dug up. And it smells bad, and I did it on purpose. I don't want the voles and other birds to dig the kernels up. You don't want something like this to expose, so what you do is to throw a bunch of dirt and bury it like this. Okay, so you can do it randomly, or you can do it by rows, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I have another tomato fields over here. This is my other tomato field. I also have other tomato fields, and also have the sunflower field over there. And then So after growing tomatoes, squash, like this, tomatoes, squash, or sunflowers, so after growing anything in the summer, after harvesting everything, you can use that land to plant wheat. So it's like continuous ground cover of the entire area. So instead of letting everything stand without any ground cover, I normally will have, I try to have ground cover all the time. So after burying your wheat kernel, you can dump everything back and everything will decompose. And so the tomato branches, tomato leaves, eventually, or even rotten tomatoes like this, eventually they will serve as fertilizer for wheat. Right. So this is planting wheat in the Pacific Northwest in the natural way. It's very similar to Fukuoka, except that Fukuoka is trying to plant rice instead of wheat. Here I cannot plant rice because there is not enough rain and the growing season is too short for rice. I need probably 4 to 5 months of hot season. Here it's too late. I tried it once. I couldn't get it. I couldn't get the rice grains to develop properly. So probably I cannot do it in Pacific Northwest. You may be able to do it in California the natural way, but then not Pacific Northwest. Maybe you can try wild rice. But this particularly this is they call it red winter wheat. I feed the grains to my chickens, and in return I get chicken poop from my tomatoes. So it's like a cycle. But next year in the summer, I don't think I'll be planting anything here, and then I'll wait until probably October, and then I dump some daikon seeds. So that, see the daikon seeds, I don't plant daikon seeds. I plant daikon pots like this. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Bye.